So today we're talking a little bit about three steps, three easy steps to letting go. In case you don't know me, my name is Crystal. I help people to create their lives intentionally. Today I'm going to talk about three easy steps to just letting go. So before we can talk about the steps to letting go, first, we need to ask, what does that really mean? I mean, letting go. Letting go of what? So often when life happens, things happen all the time. And I hear people all the time like, oh, life is this. Or I hear this so much. Yeah, life is kind of like dog poop on your shoe. You keep trying to get it off, but you can keep wiping it and keep cleaning it, but it's still there. And I'm like, no. We don't think about things like that. It's really, it goes into the mindset. So letting go is being able to make a change in the way that we feel about what we are experiencing. So when these things happen in our lives that we really don't like what took place, what happens oftentimes is we repeat the story over and over in our head. And when we do this, our minds replay the story, and then the story gets stuck in our reality. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So when we are feeling, if we have a story that we keep telling ourselves, life is hard. And then we tell ourselves, well, that's the way things go because life is hard. Well, this thing happened because life is hard. What happens is we actually feel inside of our bodies that life is hard, and it replays over and over and over that life is hard. Now, the intention here is to let that situation or that story go. And when we let it go, then we can change it to be what we want it to be. We can change that story inside of our minds, inside of our lives, and and then we get to create all the beautiful magic that is possible to us. So, let's imagine, or, I guess we may not need to imagine, but, say someone hurt you in some way, or a relationship is gone for some reason, things just didn't work out, or a trauma happened, like maybe you got into a car accident, or some kind of thing that just caused a really tough emotional situation, and then you keep living it. It's kind of like, hey, so what's wrong with this person? Well, okay, let's go ask him. We ask him, hey, so what's going on? I just noticed you don't seem like yourself anymore. They go, oh, well, this thing happened 9 months ago. 9 months ago? I mean, okay, I get it. This thing happened 9 months ago, but 9 months is a long time to hold on to this feeling and this emotion, which then gets stuck in our body. So, these are just a few examples, and that's what I'm talking about in this specific situation about letting go. There's so many things we can let go of, but like I said, these are just a few examples. So in this case of letting go, this means doing things in our lives that make the outcome unknown and trusting that the experience will go well. Okay, so let's get into the three steps. Are you ready? Okay, I'm so excited. This is awesome. Step one, recognize what it is you want to let go of, and then write it down. Log it in a notebook. It's really difficult to change something that we don't know what it is we want to change, right? So for example, if we're noticing that the number on the scales is going up and up, we might want to change that. But what are we doing that's causing this? You know, um, Or, maybe what we've done is all of a sudden we've got a light where there was dark. We didn't even remember this thing happened because we put this in our blind spot. So our blind spot, have you ever done the test? It's like a paper test. I'm going to use my phone, but it'd be like a paper test, and you put it in front of your face, and then you can see that there's a spot actually in our vision that is, it's like our blind spot. We can see everything else all around it, but we can't see that one specific spot. So if there's a dot in that spot, that dot will actually go away. It's still there, but we can't see it, right? So it could be that we've put a situation in this blind spot, and so it's the point of understanding when it happened, and just kind of noticing it. We might just all of a sudden notice it and go, oh, I forgot all about the situation, but now I get to see it. So when we put things into our blind spot, our conscious may not recognize it or may not remember it, but our subconscious remembers everything. So the subconscious is why we get these triggers, because the subconscious is here to help keep us safe. So it remembers all these situations, and it's, remembering it, going, hey, don't do this. All right. Okay. So in the step one, when you recognize it, then write it down. Take a journal, write it down, log it, whatever you want to call it. But when we write it down, not only is it put into our conscious and our subconscious, because we're actually writing it with our hands and then we're rereading it, right? But we can also write down what happens when we think about this thing. Do we feel a certain way? Is there some behavior that gets triggered? Is there a behavior that we had right before we got triggered and then we remembered the situation, right? And then we get to think about, well, how did we feel after? So when we tell the story to ourselves and we remember the story, then how do we feel after? And log this down. Now, why would we even do this? Because when we think about things and we put energy into it, it gives it more attention, right? Well, really what this is allowing you to do is to recognize not only the behavior, not only what you want to change, but also all of the things that are happening around this, right? So you can see the trends and the patterns and really understand that there may be something triggering a physiological feeling. Okay, have you ever tried to quit smoking or tried to quit eating sugar or coffee? And then there's something that happens that you just get triggered. It's like, oh man, I want this thing so bad right now, right? If you wrote it down, it'd be like, okay, so what are my triggers for drinking coffee? Well, for me, it's only in the morning time. I don't need coffee in the afternoon. But a lot of times when I was back in the corporate world, a lot of times there would be a trigger. So it might have been a stressful situation, or it might have been I started getting tired. Then see, if I wrote it down, I'd be able to go, oh, so I drank this extra cup of coffee when I was starting to feel tired, and that was about 3 o'clock. Or, oh, I drank another cup of coffee at noon right after I had this meeting with my boss and I was feeling under a certain kind of stress, right? So then we would be able to recognize it, okay? So the first step, again, is recognize what it is you want to change and log it or write it down somewhere. Step 2 is accepting it. Really accepting of how things are right now. Okay, so oftentimes we go, oh, well, this situation has happened and I just don't even want to deal with it, right? What that is doing is that's giving an energy that it's not what we want, And what we do want is not available. So what we want to do is we want to accept, okay, I understand the scales are going up, or I understand that this relationship is no longer. And I get to accept it because it changes the energy. I mean, gosh, life may not be as good as we had hoped for. You know, sometimes we really hope that things will go right, and then something happens and we worry about it, and then our worries come true because we put so much energy into this worrying, and it wears us out. And then it just keeps going, right? So when we accept where we are right now, it's easier to let it go, right? We can change the energy of how we're feeling about the situation. When we are still struggling in our mind against what happened, it feeds the memory or the situation with more energy. So remember, I talk all the time about everything is energy. All of our emotions, all of our body, all of our things that we see around us, all of our people, all the connections we have with people, it's all energy. And when we replay these situations over and over in our minds, we actually give that memory more power. So that's why we want to let it go. Okay. Now, step three. Step three is actually the letting go part. I know this sounds counterintuitive. I hear this all the time. That can't be the way. That doesn't work like that. Step three is love and forgive. Let that sink in for a moment. Part of letting go is love and forgive. Well, I don't want to forgive this person. Okay, so first of all, generally when we hold things back to other people, we don't want to let go. We don't want to, or let me rephrase it. We want to hold on to this feeling or this situation. First of all, what are we getting from that? Are we getting something from it? Do we get to play the victim? Oh, poor me, life is so hard. All these bad things happened. Or is it more of maybe we get to be right? Oh, well, you did this thing and I'm right, right? That's a payoff. That is actually something that makes us in our minds feel like it's the right thing to do. Okay. So when we love and forgive, the first step is loving and forgiving ourselves. I can hear you saying that. But what do you mean? Loving myself and forgiving myself? I didn't do anything. Well, everything that happens in our lives, it's a two-part. Okay. So not everything. I mean, let's not talk about uh, tragic things like someone gets attacked or someone gets a really bad illness. Those we may or may not have had a part in that, right? But in general, we had a part in the relationship. We had a part in the energy of the situation. We did play a part in that accident, and we get to forgive and love ourselves first. Like, oh my gosh, I forgive myself for allowing this mistake. Or I forgive myself and oh my gosh, Crystal, I love you. You are good. I'm not going to make you bad for this situation. Then we get to start off with sending love. If it's a person, we send love to them. I don't want to send love to them. They don't deserve my love. Okay. Now, see how that energy changes? It changes from I don't want to okay, when I give them love, when I send them love, it changes the energy connection. Okay, even if we do not like what they've done, you know, we know that what they did was not right. It changes the energy, and it's not about telling them. They don't even need to know. They don't need to know what's going on. You know, this is all about us and us feeling good in our bodies and our lives and our hearts. So when it changes the energy from whatever our part is, it could change our energy from victim. If we're feeling like we're the victim in a situation, it changes it from that to really managing our future, empowered and inspired to know that we get to make the choices in our lives. How exciting is that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let me recap real quick here. Step 1, recognize what it is you want to let go of and log it down, write it down, okay? Step 2, accept how it is right now. Just accept it in your heart and go, okay, I know this thing is happening, but it's okay, okay? Step 3 is to love and forgive, starting with yourself, okay? So thank you so much for joining me today. If you loved this video, please like and subscribe so you get to see all the future videos. I love you lots. See you soon. Have a great, wonderful day. Namaste. Bye.